What are my top three films? Number one is, you know it, Jaws. Number two, The Seven Samurai, on which The Magnificent Seven and Bug's Life were based. And my third favourite film is a film called Babette's Feast. Babette's Feast is a fantastic film, and Philip Yancey writes about it in his book What's So Amazing About Grace. He says the film is set in an impoverished fishing village on the coast of Denmark, a town of muddy streets and thatched roof hovels. In this grim setting, a white-bearded dean led a group of worshippers in an austere Lutheran sect. What few worldly pleasures could tempt a peasant in Nordvorsborg, this sect renounced. All wore black. Their diet consisted of boiled cod and a gruel made from boiled bread in water fortified with a splash of ale. On the Sabbath, the group met together and sang songs about Jerusalem, my happy home, name ever dear to me. They had fixed their compasses on the New Jerusalem, which is heaven, with life on earth tolerated as a way to get there. The old dean, a widower, had two teenage daughters, Martine, named after Martin Luther, and Philippa, named after Luther's disciple, Philip Melanchthon. Villagers used to attend the church just to feast their eyes on these two, whose radiant beauty could not be suppressed despite the sisters' best efforts. Many years later, the dean has died and the daughters are trying to lead the community. There are rumours of a 30-year-long affair between two of the sect. There are dodgy business dealings in which one rips another off. The church of worshippers is dying. It's dying metaphorically, but also physically as they get older and frailer and greyer. Christianity is serious. That's been levelled at me more than once in my couple of decades of doing this job. When I was growing up, I always took Christianity very, very seriously, and I sometimes look back now, if I'm honest, and I wince. Did I take it more seriously than even Jesus did? When I came back here, one of the church members, who is very getting on in years, shall we say, said to me, it's been interesting seeing you now. You're more light-hearted. I remember you as a teenager, and you were a very earnest young man. He said, I remember you talking to me in my kitchen when you came round for YPF, that's Young People's Fellowship. And he said you would talk in a very earnest way. I remember when I was at Spurgeon's College, and we lived in those days. There were about 25 of us that lived in my year. It was a fantastic time. I was the youngest by quite a long way. And we were told by one of our lecturers, you need to be more serious. He was a northerner from Yorkshire, so you can understand why he would say that. And then when Joe and I thought, we should come to TBC and agreed it with our children, somebody told my wife Jo that if I went to Tonbridge Baptist Church, I would need to have more gravitas. And when Jo shared that with me, a phrase that irritated her, I said, well, this is all they're going to get. I haven't got any more gravitas. This is me. I cannot spend my life trying to pretend that I'm someone that I'm not. It's one of the reasons I have my Jaws collection, going back to my first favourite film, in my study in prime position, because I want to show people that this is an important part of my life, even though it doesn't make any difference at a cosmic or a spiritual necessarily level. Christianity is serious. Celebrating is seen by many as light-hearted. I remember Tony Campolo, somebody came up to him and said, I have the joy of the Lord deep in my heart. And Tony Campolo, that American theologian and preacher, said, would you want to let your face know? Celebrating can be seen as light-hearted. Sacred versus secular. Serious versus light-hearted. If it's secular, it's light-hearted, you can celebrate it, celebrate sport, celebrate that kind of stuff. But with God, it's serious. This is the gospel we're talking about, the biblical mandate. And if I'm getting under your skin, I don't apologise. Because really? don't we celebrate things that we're serious about? This is something that Nikki Blundell said to me this week when I said I was struggling with the sermon, and she said I wasn't allowed to mention her name, so forget that bit. But don't we celebrate things we're really serious about? This picture on the screen now of Michael Jordan, the American basketball player, I had it up when I was at Kansas City at Bible College the whole time because I wanted to be reminded. So that was my phone that just went off. I've turned it off. Dave Hitchcock, I'll get back to you in a minute. Thank you very much. I wanted to be reminded of the brilliance of this man who caught the world by storm by being the best basketball player that was ever known. And here he is doing one of his huge jumps to slam dunk the ball. It was a reminder on my wall that when we get really good at something, then we have the chance to celebrate it. If you haven't seen on Netflix the Last Dance documentary of Jordan's final season as a basketball player, I really encourage you to watch it. It is absolutely superb. It was C.S. Lewis who said, "Joy is the serious business of God, firmly tongue in cheek." Our Bible reading today is the same one that we've had each week for the last 3 weeks as we've looked at our vision and values. It's from Acts chapter 2, 42 to 47. It says, that's the disciples, devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching and to fellowship, to the breaking of bread and to prayer. Everyone, so not just the disciples, but all of those who followed Jesus, was filled with awe at the many wonders and signs performed by the apostles. All the believers were together and had everything in common. They sold property and possessions to give to anyone who had need. Every day they continued to meet together in the temple courts. They broke bread in their homes and ate together with glad and sincere hearts, praising God and enjoying the favour of all the people. And the Lord added to their number daily those who were being saved. And let's remember, this wasn't just a flash in the pan. The Greek verbs here show continued and repeated action. This is the lifestyle that they had dedicated themselves to. They were serious about celebrating everywhere. They celebrated in their praying, which is key. They celebrated in their eating, in their praising, in their teaching, in their sharing, in their meeting, in their giving. They celebrated in every part of life. They celebrated in their living of their lives. And physically they did it as well. Geographically, they celebrated in the temple courts and they celebrated in their homes. There was no divide between Sunday Christian face and Monday through Saturday secular face. They celebrated everywhere. Our vision and values says that we want everyone to be welcome just as they are, and everyone to be involved in the transformation of themselves and each other, which leads to everyone celebrating the presence of God in the everyday. That is our aim. That's what a mature Christian is. It's somebody who, although they love worshipping together on a Sunday, although they revel in their home group or their prayer triplet or their walk with somebody else and their spaniel. Why spaniel? I don't know. Woof! But they celebrate as well when they're at work, when they are commuting, when they're at school, when they are with their friends, when they're down the pub, at the cinema, all these places, celebrating the presence of God in the everyday. I want to thank you. Yeah, you. I want to thank you for adopting this girl that we see on the screen together now. I want to thank you that you adopted this orphan who lost both her parents in tragic circumstances, that you welcomed her into your home. But I've got a little worry because you welcomed her in, but not to your whole home. See, I was there and I saw that I have Baptist minister powers, that when you welcomed her in, you said you can go in this room and you can go in that room and you've got a bedroom, but you can't come in here and you mustn't go in that room, never go through that door. And so, although she's been with you throughout the pandemic, she's never really felt at home because she knows it's yours, not hers. And so she's never really relaxed, never fully felt welcomed. And that's all she wants. She wants to know that you love her with no compromise, and that you welcome her into every room of your house. If your life, if my life was a house, a home, is God welcome in every room? Here's some photos you're going to see on the screen of my home, because you're only seeing this little bit here. Is God welcome in our chapel? Well, of course he is. That's where we read the Bible and we pray. He's welcome there for sure. Is he welcome in the gym where we exercise, or is that something we do to switch off? Or do we use that exercise time to pray and think and reflect? Is God welcome in the kitchen, in the food I buy and where I buy it from? How about the garden? Do I welcome God in the garden of my home with my lake and all of those things? The games room? Or is that where I rage quit and where I act in a way that maybe isn't that great? Is he welcome in the dining room? When we sit as a family, are we aware of God being with us? The craft room. Do I do craft and think, now who can I give this to bless them? The bathroom, is God welcome in there? The lounge? Or do I just waste my time? We need to chill out, I get that, all of us. How about my study? Is God welcome in my study? How about the bedroom? That place of rest, that place of intimacy? That place where I am who I am when I take my teeth out, take off my hearing aid, take out my glass eye and lay down in bed. In the forest, as I'm out and about in nature, am I just walking the dog or getting some exercise, or am I connecting with God? In my home cinema, do I watch things that actually I wouldn't want to watch if Jesus was sat next to me on the couch? And if so, maybe I need to think about that. In my music room, when I play the trumpet or the piano or the saxophone or whatever it may be, do I play it for the glory of God? In my library, the books I read, are they challenging? I don't mean are they so blandly written by Christian novelists who try and do the right thing but just do a bad job of it. But am I reading books that nourish my soul and bring me closer to God? Is God welcome in every room of my life as I celebrate the presence of God in the everyday? Babette's feast. One night, a woman in a storm collapses at their door, having escaped the civil war in France, and she hands the sisters a letter from one of the men that one of the sisters had spurned, who loved her many, many decades before. And he knew that they would take this lady in and keep her safe. And he wrote in the letter to them, Babette can cook. Over the next 12 years, she works for the sisters, she feeds the community, she even helps with the services on a Sabbath at church, although it's not clear if she believes in God or not. And then a letter comes. She's won the lottery, 10,000 francs on a ticket she'd long forgotten about. And the sisters assume that she'll leave them. This is a huge amount of money. Forget all the currencies nowadays. But she asks them if she can put on a feast. The community, the religious sect, dressed in black, grey, ageing, agree, but they also make an oath that they will not enjoy the feast. We mustn't enjoy it. Talk about anything and everything, but avoid the enjoyment of the feast. And as the feast is about to begin, they have an unexpected guest, a 90-year-old lady who is escorted by her nephew. He's a well-travelled cavalry general. And as he revels in the beauty of this meal, with the wine and the quails and the eggs and all of this wonderful food, the others become more uptight. But eventually, the religious guests, as they taste a bit of the food and drink some of the wine, begin to unwind and eat a bit more and begin to talk to one another and confess that they screwed one another over in a business deal and ask for forgiveness and receive it. The cavalry general tastes one dish, puts his fork down, if I remember correctly, and says, "I've only eaten this in Café Anglais in Paris." And then it comes out that Babette was the renowned chef of the Café Anglais in Paris. A chef beyond compare. The meal finishes, and the sisters come up to her nervously and thank her and say, "I guess you'll be leaving now, won't you?" And Babette says no, because a dinner for 12, which is how many were there, at the Café Anglais costs 10,000 francs. She spent everything she had on those people, and every time I watch that film, I am reduced to tears, because it shows me the grace of God and the beauty of humanity when we let God into every crevice of life. And that religious sect go out and stand in the snow under the stars, join hands and sing a hymn with gusto like they probably never sang it before. Friends, we can celebrate the presence of God in every room of our lives, Monday through Sunday. That's what a mature follower of Jesus, I think, looks like, celebrating the presence of God in the everyday. God bless you.